Hi everybody, welcome to today's pick a card reading. So we're going to be looking at your beautiful love story and I'll give you the breakdown. I hope it's not too confusing, the wording around it, but the first thing we're going to look at is a card for your energy right before you meet them. Second card will be your energy when you meet them. And then we also will pull one card for how you perceive your person when you meet. And then a few cards for messages they want you to know right now if you haven't met them yet. And then how they change your view on love. And then also a few cards on how they love you. And then just to make it a funner reading, I decided to do all of that, but from their perspective. So that will be at the end of the reading. So that being said, hopefully you're ready for a little bit of a longer reading today. And getting a few grounding breaths in would be great. Letting go of your day, exhaling any expectations or any lingering stress, and just kind of connecting back in with the body, feeling your feet on the floor, feeling into your intuition, finding a sense of peace, and seeing if you can focus on a sense of peace within yourself right now. And once you start to feel like you've arrived and are feeling a little more slowed down, present, it's always great to ask yourself if one of these piles has a message for you before choosing one. So if you're ready for that, pile 1 here is going to be this Shamanic Dream Quartz. Pile 2 is this Tumblestone of Opalite. And pile 3, I googled this, and the best to my ability, it sounds like it's gray Jasper, which I didn't even know was a thing. Gray Jasper. To put that there. So if you need a few more moments to decide or a little more time to get grounded, feel free to pause the video. And if you know your piles, I will see you in your pick card readings. Hello, pile 1. So I already laid out all cards for you just because it seemed a bit easier. We are looking at, to start, your energy before you meet your person. Then we have the energy you're in when you meet them. Over here, the gazelle is going to be your perspective of their energy when you meet them. And then we have 3 things I want you to know right now. We also have what they teach you about love. And then I pulled some extra cards, but I'll just show them when there's more room for how they love you. That's what it was. Already forgetting my cues. So that being said, I have to say your energy right now I shouldn't say right now, your energy before you meet them and when you meet them isn't too different. So the oyster I often see is someone who is perhaps gone through something where they're feeling a little more nervous or a little more closed off from the world. It also usually comes through when people are in a phase of just needed distance to find themselves, a little more introspective time. It's not necessarily a bad card. It just usually means that someone is a little more distant from the outside world is how I often see this. But I also love this card because it looks like a party. Like you might be able to see all the confetti looking colors in the background. It always makes me think like when the oyster opens, everyone's going to celebrate because they will finally have started to see how beautiful of a person they are, how valued they are, and they start finding their people who are excited to have them in their life. So when I see the oyster card, it's a temporary distancing from society to get more clarity within. And usually when this happens, when it's like closing up, it's like a little bit of social anxiety that might arise or feeling a little scared of other people. I do feel like specifically for this pile, it probably would have been having felt hurt by love in a previous relationship, or even in family relationships or really close friendships. I just feel like this little tender heart needed some time away from people to heal. And then the energy you're in when you meet your person, why I think this is very neat is like, this is like essentially what I would see someone be like after they've just come out of the oyster energy. Like a lamb is someone who's gentle, someone who has a lot of clarity and a lot of just like that very like clever insight to things. So, but it all comes from that energy of like gentleness. So it makes me think about how if you've ever just said something and you've been surprised at how wise it sounded or how it just seemed like the perfect thing to say in the situation, I often feel like lambs are like that. They can just see things from such a compassionate, gentle perspective of, I always see kind of like innocence, like of just like really seeing the truth of the wound in people or in situations and being able to verbalize it in ways that seem profound, and they might not always be sure of how they're wording things so properly. So it's just, yeah. So it's like, I would say that with the lambs, they're still quite timid. So I would see you meeting this person when you're feeling a little more open and a little more ready to start seeing the world again. And once again, this would have been like after some healing, some self-reflection time, but still very sensitive to how other people are treating you is how I would perceive yourself in this meet. And then what I love about how you perceive your person, the gazelle, like I even just love the fact that it's a lamb and a gazelle. Like I feel like the lamb's kind of short and cute and everyone goes ah, and then like the gazelle is like more elegant and grown up looking, and I just feel like the lamb has a lot of admiration for the way the gazelle is in the world. So in this case, I feel like it's like when you meet this person in their eyes, they're someone who has a lot of grace, a lot of confidence, who seems very grounded in themselves, who's very confident in who they are. I would feel like you would perceive them as like just walks around with a really good head on their shoulders is the verbiage I get. And the other thing too that I feel like you would be so attracted to about this person is that they believe probably suffers from being a bit overly empathetic to people. Like it might be someone who has a lot of empathy for others, someone who might struggle with a bit of hypervigilance. And I think that's actually why they end up being such a great fit for you, because it's like you're still in this energy of being a little uncertain about the world, and this person is so aware of you and they're so aware of the small things that might make you feel a little uncomfortable. They're very aware of how you might change in dynamics or emotions around something. So there's someone who's very perceptive and someone who's just actually very, very easily able to kind of change gears and adapt to how you might be feeling in the situation. So yeah, I feel like I can really see why this person catches your eye. I think from the moment you meet them, and same thing, like, I guess I would see this gazelle as really appreciating the tenderness in you. That's definitely something that's coming through. Yeah, definitely. So the thing I have to say about what they teach you about love is, firstly, it's like warrior, realizing how strong you are, strong and capable, which I actually love because this is something I think you're going to learn from them through, I wanted to say osmosis, from being around them and seeing how they carry themselves and seeing how they handle situations. Like, it's like they're so confident and they seem so self-assured, even though I'm pretty sure if we were to look into their internal world, they wouldn't feel that way, but they, like, your perception of them is that. And they teach you to just be really, really so much stronger in believing in your ability to handle things, to be okay, to possibly even set boundaries with people. That's kind of, because, like, once again, it's not like that you're someone who is not capable of these things, but I think they just bring it out to another level, because when I see you, you're still a little bit in a healing phase. Like I was saying, you've done a lot of healing, but there's still just like a little bit of hesitancy from a lamb of like, am I positive that people are worth letting in to the extent they once have, is kind of what I get from this. But there's just so much gentleness, kindness, and tenderness from the lamb. So I feel like it just, to learning to trust your strengths and your skill sets and to know that you got this is really, really good. And I feel like if anything, I feel like for you, you might struggle a lot with your mental body, mental mind, parts of yourself that might have a lot of mental chatter that doesn't feel super positive sometimes. And I feel like this gazelle really, really helps you once again, through inspiration, through just being around you, start to feel more confident in yourself and helping with that mental chatter. The other thing we have here, so scribe, preserving knowledge and information, child wounded, and student. So these are actually also all quite positive cards. Once again, I actually just want to go to student because I feel like that really plays off of this well. As I do feel like there's so much you learn from this person. I would wonder if there's a little bit of an age difference here. There doesn't have to be. This person could just be someone who's just really wise, who's really learned in their life. I mean, the gazelle does talk about that. It does talk about being someone who is very perceptive, very aware, very socially aware, has a fairly busy mind. So I just feel like it's so much of what you learn from this person in love is just even just different dynamics, how it can be, like the ease it can be with, like I actually feel like it's funny to describe here, like I feel like you do take notes from them, like that might not like maybe physically, or maybe you physically do, I'm not sure. You do you know, but I feel like mentally there's a lot of notes being taken and there's a lot that you learn from this person, so much that you learn. And the energy I keep getting is like this person just really builds you up, really, really builds you up. It helps you have more compassion for yourself and for the relationship, which I think is really beautiful. And yeah, there's so much too. Like the student does talk about like having a more openness in it as well. So I wonder if there's a part of you that starts to see like I this is a little specific, but I wonder if if in previous relationships, if you've had people not be so open to conflict resolution, because that's the other thing with the warrior card too, and child wounded and student. I do feel like there's some stuff coming in about perhaps not having ever truly had another partner that would work together to the same extent on resolving conflicts or disagreements, or just addressing things that maybe one person is needing more of in a relationship. It just feels like there's like this genuine like, oh my gosh, like there's like we're able to resolve things. I just keep getting that. And maybe that's something that you've really wanted in a relationship and haven't been able to find someone who is more open to that. But yeah, and I also the child wounded, I don't know why I keep getting it too, is like conflict resolution. Like it's like even knowing that conflict doesn't have to be scary, and conflict sometimes is just like you're not agreeing on something, but you can talk it through, and it's gonna be okay, and it is okay. And that might be something that you aren't used to before this person. The other thing I'm also wondering with the scribe card is I wonder if this person and you have this cute connection where you might write letters to each other, or you might like, I don't know, if it's not like writing letters to each other, I feel like you do leave like notes or things like that. Or if you're like, oh, I'm really like wanting to remember this to mention to my partner, and you might like take note of it. I don't know. I just feel like I see like physical writing, like, but they feel like vulnerable truths that you do share with them. Like if it actually just feels very loving. So if it's not a physical love letter, it's just like writing down things to just to make sure you don't forget about them, or if it is hard for you to share because it's vulnerable or it feels scary, I feel like they really work with you. And I actually, once again, feel like this is something they bring forward to you. I don't know, that doesn't have to be that way, but I just keep feeling like this gazelle person is just so like good at finding alternative solutions. And if you're feeling like, I'm not sure how to get past this, and perhaps you feel a little bit stuck, like you can't see a solution, this person comes in, I feel like, fairly regularly and is like, oh, it's okay. What if we try this? What if we give this a go and see if that helps with our communication or with us being able to resolve conflicts? And that being said, perhaps you might have a hard time sharing things that you might need more in a relationship, and that might even be the things that get written down. Not positive, but I do feel like there is quite a bit of actual writing or journaling that happens in this relationship. And I do feel like it has a lot to do with expressing your truth, whatever that is, and helping you find the courage to have that voiced in the relationship. And a lot of this feels like it's once again just really supportive of how past relationships possibly haven't allowed that or offered that to you, or have been understanding and as loving as this person. And I do also have to say, I do feel like there is just a lot of general positivity in this connection. Like, I feel like they are constantly trying to find ways to be in the relationship and be supportive to you, where I don't wonder if this needs to come through because perhaps in past relationships, you, the lamb person, have had people seem like they have one foot out the door. I don't know. That could be something here, but I keep getting that. Like in conflict, they're all about, it's never on the table that they might leave. They're always in, how can I bring more connection into this dynamic? So I find that really interesting, and I feel like they just have quite a politeness about them. Like, I feel like this person essentially is like almost like raising their hand to speak, to make sure that if they have like an opinion to offer or add, that it's like it's not unsolicited or something like that, which I don't know, that might also be something that has been a challenge for you in another relationship or something like that. But this person's just very, very respectful, and like I said, like they're very good at like having so much patience and navigating, I would say, people who are perhaps in like, I don't know, for lack of better words, might be in more triggered states, and just staying very calm and grounded in those situations, which then helps other people feel more grounded. And I have to say, they're not just doing this for you. I think that's just how they are in the world. So that might also be something that you really enjoy about this person. And you know what? Why don't we look at how they love you before we talk about 3 things they want you to know? So we have cleansing attunement, shamanic healer, we have time constraints, and we have joy, blessings, intuition, and visions, receptivity, intuition. So yeah, so this one does not surprise me that it comes through, because like I was saying, this person feels so receptive. They feel like an extremely empathetic person, and I feel like that to you is actually like so nurturing, because if you're having a hard time verbalizing something or sharing something, they already kind of have an idea about what's going on with you, because they just are so perceptive. I really do feel like for them, they would call it hypervigilance, but your perception of it is very perceptive and very empathetic. And that comes through so strongly in how they love you, because it's like, they just see you. They see you in a way other people haven't, and that might even feel a little intimidating, but it's also how they get in to really know you, because they're so perceptive. Joy, blessings, and intuition. So I love this. Firstly, I also have to say intuitions come up twice, so they're very intuitive. Whether they would use that word or not, they're very intuitive. They're very good at reading your energy. They're very good at reading the vibe of the room and the situation. They definitely apply that to how they are in relationship with you. And the other thing I want to say though is I feel like they just have so much joy to know you. Like when I see this, it's like they're so excited about the potential, what you're going to do in the future, what you're doing right now. It just feels like overall they're very excited about where this relationship is and where it can grow to. So I want to say, like, I feel like they are pretty grounded in the present, but they're also just so excited for the future, which also is kind of where it comes up here. I was hesitant to leave this card in reverse, but when I was like tuning into it a little bit more, I was like, okay, it's not that they're trying to rush the relationship, but this person just feels like they don't want to waste a moment. Like that's kind of what I get from this. And like, it's not that they are trying to put pressures on time, but they just are like, if I only live till next year or tomorrow, like I want to make sure that it's spent with you. That was like how I was getting this. So I feel like this person just highly prioritizes you, and maybe to a point of like maybe they got a bit of anxiety. I mean, if you know this person already, you'll know if that makes sense. But I just feel like they're just so about you that they don't want to waste a second. They don't want to wish that they had said something and been too scared. So I feel like this person actually puts themselves out there pretty, I don't know if I'd say strongly or aggressively, but I don't think you're receiving it in a bad way. It's just like, whoa, like this person is for me. This person is very for you. And then cleansing in attunement. So what I love about this is I feel like when I saw this and how they love you, I perceive it as someone who comes with like a higher form of love than you've experienced. So this feels like someone who teaches you like I almost would even say what love can be like from a place of just receptivity, reciprocity, happiness, joy, prioritization. Like I just feel like this is a kind of love that you ain't never had before, and I really do think it's quite beautiful. And it's like the higher perspective keeps coming in too. So I just feel like this person is very good at not getting caught up in their like how things are affecting them personally in this relationship. I think they're pretty good at almost like seeing, okay, what's going on with my lamb person? Why are they saying this? Why is this happening? And I think they're pretty good at like taking a step back and then assessing the situation and then coming back to you and being like, okay, I think this is what was going on for you. From what I was seeing. And I feel like it's like, I really get if I was going to sum this up, this person's very good at not taking things personally. And I feel like that might have been something that has not been the case for you in past relationships. This one is just like so understanding. Like I said, like this person's eyes are intense. So they might even have intense eyes. Like this person's blue eyes are just like laser focused and like seeing through people's souls. That might be a way you actually recognize this person if you don't know them yet, or if you have met them. I feel like people will be pretty intimidated by their gaze because they do see everything in people, which would be a little intimidating if you don't like to be seen. So yes. Okay. 3 things they want you to know. So we have intuition, balance, connection, spirit, divine self. We have peace, connected journey, balance, clearing. And then this card also came upside down. It said routine, limitation, mundane, and boredom. So part of me, when I was thinking of this card, was thinking, if you haven't met them yet, I wonder if you're going to meet them just in your most routine, boring, day-to-day tasks. And I feel like you might meet them when you're not expecting it, where you're just like, I wonder if there's part of you that thinks like, I'll have to go on this vacation or I'll have to meet them in this like crazy way. But I feel like you're going to meet them in a very natural setting. Like, I don't know, like maybe you're at work and it's just like a client that comes in and something like that, or someone who, you know, like is a friend of a friend and you're all just meeting up for this very like routine hangout or something like that. Like I feel like if you haven't met them, you're not going to be able to guess how you meet them, because it's just going to be such a normal thing that you won't even have your guard up. You'll just be like, oh, hi, my name is Lamb Person. But yeah, and then if those who have already, well, I guess if you've already met them, then that might be how you did meet them. Yeah. Or some of you might like meet them in some sort of class or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, that's what I kept getting for this. And the other thing too, I kind of get for like guidance from this card is if you find yourself wondering if you're doing enough or if you should be doing something more grand, I feel like this person of yours is coming through to say like, you know what? Not all of life, we don't have like energy in life to just always be going the biggest and the hardest. And sometimes there's just like boring days where we just do general tasks and day-to-day work, and that's okay, because, you know, it might get exhausting if we're always like, say, traveling everywhere or trying to do something new. Like eventually people start to get homesick, or they start to crave a little more simplicity, and people's tolerance for that could be different. But I just feel like perhaps sometimes you could be possibly a little bit hard on yourself about like, should you be doing more, or should things be more exciting or something like that. But anyways, this person is coming through and saying, it's okay. It's okay to be a little boring sometimes. So peace, connected journey, balance, clearing, and divine self, intuition, balance, connection, spirit. So this person talks, yeah, it is interesting actually. A lot of this is talking about like directions to go. Yeah. So this one talks about like right now you could be at a crossroads about what to do with your life. I wonder what you are going through right now. It does talk about being able to have a couple different paths. Usually one of the paths is to continue the way we've been going or to take a new opportunity. And this one just talks about finding the one that actually feels the most balanced for you in your life and also the one that excites you the most. So if some of you are like, wait, but one is more balanced and the other one excites me, but is not balanced. That's so funny. Let's pull a clarifying card. I don't know why I got someone asking about that. But I feel like it's like, is there like a temporary excitement or is there a sustained excitement around it? Are you feeling called to it because it's just something new? Or is it because your soul feels aligned with the mission, the purpose, the meaning behind it? So yeah, okay, so here we go. Overcoming difficulties. So clarifying cards say, if you are having a hard time making decisions right now around where to go in life, whether to create a change in your life in a certain direction, it does talk about just starting with getting grounded with yourself. Getting grounded because then you can recognize what is fear that's coming up. So, and why that's important is like sometimes we can get confused our intuition and our fear. And when we're grounded, it's easier to recognize what is fear and what is genuine intuition, what is genuine desire versus just like our egos or parts of us that are trying to keep us safe, that are arising with warnings that aren't always rooted in reality. They're rooted in a trauma from the past. So overcoming difficulties, the worst is now behind you and you are surmounting previous challenges. So I love that this comes through. So I would also wonder if your person here is saying like either path that you choose, there isn't going to be a wrong or right choice for you. It is just going to be choosing what kind of experience you want to have. And I feel like they're saying like if you've had a pretty difficult time coming forward, just knowing that is not going to continue. Archangel Jeremiel is like the archangel of life review. So the archangel that helps us learn karmic lessons or learn from our past. So when this one comes up in a card, it does talk about like you having been in that oyster energy. You've likely did some reflection. You've likely kind of took note of some patterns or some things that are common in your life. And I imagine you've learned a lot from your lessons. So this card comes through when it's saying like you've started to learn from the events of the past, and it's likely that moving forward you are going to be more grounded in similar situations, that you won't find yourself in them. Like it's almost like you'll like see the red flags or the yellow flags before you're in that scenario. It's being able to identify things early on and really truly having learned some wisdom from the past. So I just want to clarify. Look at that. I literally got the life review card. It's going to clarify the peace card. And once again, it's Archangel Jeremiel that just came through over here saying, take inventory of your life and resolve to change or heal anything that is unbalanced. So yeah, I do feel like that is ultimately what this person keeps coming through on, which is interesting. I'm not sure what kind of transition you're in right now, but I could just see general uncertainty and feeling like maybe you need to change something up. But I do actually feel like if you're someone who is feeling ungrounded, it could be like a good time to get some energy work done, get some rebalancing. You could do this on your own, maybe follow a guided meditation of some sort that's balancing each chakra and grounding you during that process. Or perhaps if you have a practitioner you like to see, I don't think it would hurt because I almost feel like this is like clearing out the old. Yeah, so that you can feel lighter moving forward. I feel like you've gone through a lot. That's what I keep getting. You've gone through a lot of change, and sometimes it's nice just to get things like purged out. So I feel like that's coming through. Also some reflection around just even like going back and circling to what have I learned? What have I learned from the past? And what am I going to bring forward knowing what I've learned? I feel like there's, just a little bit of reflection there. And spiritual adventure, we have teaching and learning. Keep an open mind to learn new ideas, then teach these ideas to others. So yeah, I do keep wondering, yeah, I feel like you're just in a time of change. That's what I keep getting for you pile ones. You're just in a time of change and you're wanting to like spread your wings. You're wanting to create, you're wanting to essentially have something you don't currently have. And it could be this person and you could just be debating on how to get that in. So it is interesting that all the guidance keeps coming back to get grounded, focus on what you've learned, on what you've taken away. And you know what, the other thing that comes through a little bit here is like, if in your past relationship you felt like you were denying yourself some dreams or some certain opportunities, it could even be a calling to say, hey, I'm going to prioritize those now. So that could even be part of that teaching and learning and doing that life review. What at the end of the day are you going to wish you've done or experienced in your life? And just even focusing on that a little bit and getting clear on that. So that is interesting. I do feel like I have no idea if this pile has met this person or not already. Like in some ways, I feel like just in the last few cards, this like what they want you to know cards felt a lot like you hadn't met them yet. But during the rest of the reading, I honestly couldn't tell. So some of you might already know and some might not. So I'm just going to pull from one more deck over here, asking, just with everything that's come through, what do my pile ones need to know before we let them go here? Move beyond ancestral patterns. Be fearless and stand strong. And shed old skin. All right. Okay. So if you didn't take a note of that, all this is like letting go of the past patterns. These could be patterns that you've seen in your family. It could be relationship dynamics that your parents have had. Be fearless and strong. I always love it when this card comes through because it's so encouraging to say, you've got this. You're not in over your head. There's nothing you can't do. You're so capable and you're going to see this through. It often comes through when we're feeling a bit stuck, uncertain, or sometimes just kind of low or heavy in energy. And the other thing I want to see is shed old skin. So I really feel like it could be to your benefit to clear out the system, whether that is going to a counselor or therapist. If you feel like it's more energetic, Reiki, getting a card reading, a personalized card reading, more focused to what might help you right now, or acupuncture, you know, cranial sacral. There's so many things out there. Whatever you're feeling called to, I would take a step towards that, because a lot of this is saying, like, you get more clarity when the old isn't like stuck on you. I don't know, maybe you feel like that, like the old is just still attached to you in some way. So getting a little more freedom, a little more space from it, I feel like helps so much. And that's mainly where it's saying to focus right now. Focus right now. Okay. And knowing that just because something has been one way, it won't be that way in the future. So perhaps you have not met this person yet. And if that is the case, like, this is where I feel like it does come through strongly that you're not going to miss them. If you make a certain choice versus another, you're not going to pass them by. They're not going to pass you by. Like they're saying over here, like, you're going to meet them in the just most basic routine day-to-day life thing that you really aren't going to see them coming if you haven't met them. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, this is where I'm going to leave it. Okay, pile one. So I pulled basically the mirror cards for your person. So the energy they're in when you meet them, or sorry, the energy they're in before they meet you, when they meet you, and then your energy from their perspective. And then we have what you teach them about love and how you love them. I put over here like I did in your reading. So what I find really cool about this, and having done both sides now, is their energy before they meet you. Is I feel like they're someone who, they are actually pretty like part of society. They're someone who takes a lot of, I would say, like, I don't think joy is the right word, but they feel fairly fulfilled in their life, being of service to their society. So they might actually be someone who, for example, is like not bothered by paying taxes. Like, they might not love it, but I feel like there's a part of them that's like, well, if it goes to the greater community, then I'm happy I'm helping in some way. Like, whatever equivalent could be to that. Like, they're just like, there's someone that do enjoy, or that's like bad English. They're someone who who feel really satisfied or find a lot of meaning in being able to support and be of service to their communities. So there might be someone with like, I don't know if they do volunteer work specifically or if they just help out a lot of people in their community. I imagine, like, I think of a busy bee, but I think of a busy social bee. Like someone who does like, yeah, just try to help people out where they can. And I guess I have to say though, the little thing with the bee though is I feel like it does feel like their energy is like they're missing something. Like they're helping all these people, they're helping on their community, but I think the bee actually kind of wants their person. This is someone who I feel like when they think of love, they think of companionship, a great friend, like that person who's their person. That's the vibe that I get from this person. So this bee is like fairly content, but they feel like there's something missing. There's something more they want in their life. When they meet you, this is why I'm laughing at the tarantula, because like I think your person is kind of humorous. Like they might be someone who just like jokes a little, like I don't want to say harshly, like savagely, but because they're so perceptive. I think when they joke about things, they also can hit things on the head pretty good, which could go both ways for people. But I like their energy. This is my kind of person. Yeah, so tarantula is like I feel like they see you and they know what they want. That's so funny. I'm kind of like blushing because I'm just like, I feel like they see you and like, yeah, they have like interest in you. And the tarantula is like a fire element in this deck, which is really funny. So I feel like it's just like here they are, like just like, you know, they're content in the world, there's nothing wrong, but they feel like something's missing, and then they like meet you and they know what they want and they're feeling passionate and like set. They have like their eyes set on you. And this also gives them more of an authoritative vibe, which is interesting because that also might make sense why when you perceive them as the gazelle, you perceive them as being someone who's a bit authoritative, but like in a very pleasant way. I think a lot of that comes out in meeting you. Like you bring out that side of them of being like, I want to get after the things that I want in my life or I want to have in my life. And I have to say, this is not in a controlling way. This is just in a very much of like, I'm not going to let an opportunity pass me by when I see one that I want. They're just very, like, they're not afraid to go after what they want. That's what I keep getting. Like, they're like, yeah, it's like a really admirable energy. So how they perceive you in all this. So I had to pull 2 cards. I pulled the peacock and I was like, are you sure? Are you sure? Because I don't know if this fits the energy I just read for this person. And then I pulled another one and it was kind of like, okay, they gave me a lot more clarity. Like, this is where I feel like this person's humor comes through so strongly in a really great way, where they're like, you're just like, you're gorgeous. They see you, you're gorgeous. You're like the thing they've always wanted. So in their eyes, it's like, you are like this thing they can't miss. Like, they feel like everyone has an eye on you because you're just like such a catch. Like this person, like, they might put you a little bit on a pedestal in the sense of thinking you're just so perfect, but to some degree, I think their visualization of what is like perfect, I think still is like they still understand all humans have flaws, but it's just like you are their perfect to some degree. But once again, there's just like, yeah, this person, they really dig you from the moment they meet you. That's what I keep getting. You're hard to miss. They can't miss you. So they spot you right away. Is it kind of what I'm getting? And the mouse is like, they perceive you as a little bit timid, a little shy, but I think that makes them more intrigued about you because they just like want to know more who you are, your life story, like how you got to be the person you are. Also with the mouse, I often think of someone who's very gentle and soft-spoken, and it's just so ironic because they're basically like, their energy regularly kind of matches your energy more, and then they just see you and are like, yeah, I'm not passing that by. I'm gonna do everything I can to talk to this person. So it's just so funny that their energy gets a little bit intense and then yours is like very like gentle and timid. It's like, whoa. Part of me laughing because I'm like, whoa, this person's so into you and you don't have a chance, but you do. Obviously, you always have free will, but this is from their perspective, okay? So they get to have their little like humorous way of telling the story. And I even think that might be something that happens. Like when you guys meet, if you haven't yet, this person might like tell the story about how you met in kind of a funny way. And you might be like, well, that's not quite how it happened, but they might just like have their own spin on it in a loving, funny way. Anyways, how you teach them or what you teach them about love. We have Shapeshifter, Child Magical, Knight, and Pioneer. So the thing that really stands out is there's a lot here where it's like you teach them to kind of believe in that like fairy tale romance again. Like that like I don't know, I feel like this person also has had some relationships, and when it comes to the bee, I often think of the bee that is underappreciated. So I would wonder if this person has struggled with being appreciated for who they are in relationships, being appreciated for the work they do, or what they try to provide their romantic partners with. And I just feel like you do not do that. Like they're like Shapeshifter, I feel like this talks about how like how different it can be being in a relationship with different people. Like I feel like they probably dated a lot of similar personalities, kind of like I feel like you did as well, but it just keep getting like you just really change their perspective, and it's all for the best. And I feel like they also realize like some relationships, some people can grow. And I'm not sure if that was something they also had in past relationships, because this does feel like this like intrigue in the fact that perhaps they have a conversation with you and you adapt and grow with it, or you adapt and change to meet their needs or to clarify or just essentially offer them whatever they were asking for. And I think that's just very surprising to them, for lack of better words. Other things like it's so funny, they're very adamant about talking about your qualities, so I'm just gonna go with it. Like the loyalty, like I feel like they feel like you're an extremely loyal person, and that's something they also really appreciate about you. It just comes through even like when they see the mouse. Like you might be a little timid and a little shy, but like you're really like loyal and considerate of the people that are your people. And so I feel like for them, they just feel so respected. I feel like there's a lot of trust here, and that might also like all this stuff feels like things. Every time I say something, I'm like, I think that's something they didn't have in their past relationships, and they started to think just wasn't really a thing in the world anymore, or something like that. Yeah. And even in here, like Pioneer, passion for doing and creating what has not been done before, is you might feel like this person is someone you've never dated before, or like anyone you've dated before, but they also have that same impression of you. You're that person they never really knew could exist out there, and you really do rekindle that like, I just want to keep saying like that hopeless romantic aspect to them, like that love can be beautiful and it can be forever growing together, and just something they just have never had before but always kind of wish they could have had. So it just overall feels like you're a dream come true for them. And I like, once again, I feel like they feel like that the moment they meet you. So that comes through a lot. So this is probably how you can't miss them, because they're not going to miss you. Like in the routine life where I was saying, like, it seems like you just meet each other. I think it's going to be kind of dominated by them. You'll have to let me know if you've actually met this person, if that's how it went or not. But yeah, they really just admire how open to growth, change, that you are, how loyal you are, how I would even say considerate you are, because that's kind of what the child magical is like. I think you just have a level of kindness and gentleness about you that this person wasn't really sure existed in love anymore, and that also is like just really beautiful. So sorry, I forgot I have 4 more cards about, from their perspective, how do you love them? Shift your perception. You also have Bask in Joy and Light. I think they also had a joy card. I can't quite remember now. Learn from experiences and take note of intuitive messages. So I feel like this person also feels like you're pretty intuitive. So if they're having an off day or they're not feeling like themselves, they feel like you actually are quite good at using your intuition, using your own empathy to be able to meet them where they're at. And it just like overall feel like this person feels like you're just very considerate. extremely considerate. I also feel like they love, like you have 2 cards here talking about like if there's a misunderstanding or something you don't know the answer to, I think you ask questions, or I think you ask for clarification, or you even give them an opportunity to change the narrative that you thought was happening. And this, I just feel like the way this is coming through is I just feel like it's such a like kind, considerate, compassionate thing to do, to offer them the ability to even like explain their intention or explain their side of it. And this just once again makes me feel like this person might have dated or been with people who were a little unforgiving is the words I'll use. Someone who might have like had very strong opinions and not heard them out. And I don't know, I almost feel like this person's actually quite used to being a bit bullied verbally or emotionally by people, and you're the opposite of that, which is why I think it comes through twice of being like they so love that you're able to get curious and shift your perception, or ask clarifying questions or some sort of that, and give them a chance. They just love that you give them a chance. That's what I'm trying to say here. And bask in joy and light. So I just feel like you bring a lot of joy, lightness, and I would even wonder peacefulness. And okay, I gotta say this, but I feel like they just feel like you're the other piece of their puzzle. You're the thing they've been looking for, because look at this. There's little bee feeling like something was missing, and now this bee is on a honeycomb. It's found its home. So I just feel like this person is so for you. And once again, like if you can't feel this person's energy, like I'm sorry, it's so amazing. It's like I was saying, they're so witty and joyful and kind of funny, and I feel like they really do like light up your world. Like this person's energy is just like it's very like nice to be around, and I'm sure you're gonna experience that. I mean, you're saying you are, so yeah. I'm like excited for you, pile ones, because I like after being your energy and it felt a little uncertain and a little unhopeful, I'm like really glad to see this person's energy and perspective. They're like so assured of this. They're like, yeah, they're great. They're a catch. I'm glad you find each other. You are each other's people for sure. Okay, this is where I'm going to leave this reading. If you liked it, it never hurts to leave a comment or a like. If you liked it, you can leave a like. You can leave a like, as it just helps this YouTube video get more views, and I appreciate that. And maybe I'll catch you around another pick a card reading sometime. Hello, my pile twos. So you had chosen this piece of Opalite, and I already re-laid out all the cards just because I wanted to make sure everything would fit in the screen and in frame and all that. Quick rundown of what we're looking at. Over here, the peacock, crow energy, that's the energy you're in right before you meet this person, and then when you meet them. And then over here, I actually pulled 2 cards for you. We have the octopus is the energy you perceive them as, or the person you perceive them as from your perspective when you first meet, versus once you start to have feelings for them. I didn't do this for the other pile, but I just felt like your first impression was going to be quite different from the person you end up getting to know and essentially falling for. And then over here we have what they teach you about love, how they love you, and 3 things they want you to know right now is just in between you two. So that being said, peacock energy. I love this growth curve for you from the time that like before, kind of right before you meet them, and then once you meet them. The peacock energy is like someone who's starting to put themselves out there, is like open to socialization, new interactions, meeting more people, someone who wants to feel good in their body, feel confident. It wouldn't be surprised if you start finding like a diet that really works well with your like hormones, your life cycles. Like it just feels like you find your physical, I was gonna say niche, but that's like weird to say. You find your physical happy place for you, like how many hours of sleep you need, or what physical activity you need, to what level, the kind of diet that makes you feel good. Like you just feel like you're in a glow up phase over here. But the difference between this energy and what I'm seeing for the crow energy specifically, coming secondary from the peacock energy. So if you normally see this crow card, I don't believe it's going to mean this, but in this context with your energy, I'm just getting so much here about how this is essentially you putting yourself out there, being very, very open, which there's nothing wrong with. But after the time when you're meeting this person, you actually start to find more boundaries. So it's not that you're not open to new people, new situations, new experiences, but it comes with some wisdom of like realizing like what's for you and what's not, behaviors that are acceptable versus ways you don't want people talking to you. I also feel like you're going to get a lot of attention, a lot of specifically romantic attention, we'll say, from other people. Whether you go for it or not is up to you, but I feel like a lot of eyes are on you. Sorry, Steve. Steve, you're going to sit in here and you're going to move all the cards. Steve, yeah, you might have people like Steve right now who's just like, no, I'm not going anywhere. I want to be here with you. Okay, come here, Steve. Yikes, the poor cards. Yeah, anyways, so I feel like there'll be definitely a learning curve where I just get the difference between these two energies. For you is going to be that learned wisdom on having some perception on who's going to need types of boundaries, what kind of people you want boundaries with. I mean, we want boundaries with everyone, but I feel like this is like setting firm boundaries with certain people. So it actually feels like a really good time for you. Like you're feeling yourself, you're feeling good, you're feeling confident, you know your value, you know your worth. Imagine that there is quite a bit of tender love and care that has gone into you starting to feel that way. And it's really quite wonderful. Like, I just think it's a great time to be meeting this person. And I think that's even why when we look over here at your first impressions of them, this is so specific, but I get that your first impressions on meeting them, they just seem like someone who has their hands in a lot of things. Like, I just kept getting that visual, like whether it's like they're in the stocks, they're always talking about stock trading, or they're always talking about, you know, this side hustle or this other thing they're doing. Like, it just seems like there's someone where you see them very intellectually as a lot going on. They're always talking about the things they're doing, or like it's not very emotionally tied back. So I don't feel like you have a negative impression of this person, but you just are like, wow, this is a really busy person. They don't have time for nothing. They've got a lot going on in their mind. They got a lot of their hands in different baskets. Like, that's the expression I keep getting. So it's kind of funny. That is where I'm going to leave it for them. But you do, like, what's really highlighted with the octopus is like a lot of attention to the mental body, the mind, someone who's very perceptive, someone who's very, I even want to say, like, with this energy, like, you feel like there's someone who's like really getting after things, and they might have a little bit of a authoritative energy to them. I'm gonna say this at the first impressions, I think you see them as a little bit pushy or forceful, but that energy feels like it's tied to like someone who's not going to back down from things they want. And I don't feel like you feel at all like they're interested in you. Like, that's another thing I want to mention here. I feel like they're just like another person, another customer or person that it comes through my life. And you're just like not really thinking about anything romantic with them, which is really interesting. Sorry, my phone is vibrating, and I just want to make sure it wasn't my timer because I'm multitasking right now and making a lemon loaf of all things. So it was just a bunch of messages, not a timer. But anyways, this person, that's actually another good point too with the timing of that. Like, I feel like this person just seems a little intense. Like, maybe if they have your phone number, they'll be like constantly like texting you like those quick messages where it's like one liner. And once again, I just feel like you're just like, because you're feeling so good, you're like really not like in any way thinking this person has those intentions. But now, because you might be like, yo, why would I be interested in this person? Let's talk about when you get to know them, how, like, when you fall for them, how they actually are and how you perceive them, the whale. So this kind of goes from someone who seems like very logical, very in the mind, and this talks about starting to see their more emotional body, their emotional side, like their soul, their spirit. And the whale, if you've seen this in other oracle cards, is always such a great sign for finding someone who really gets you, who gets the way you communicate, who gets the way that you explain yourself or express yourself. When we see whales or even dolphins, it's like people where we just get each other, and it's really nice because there isn't those like misinterpretations of intention, misinterpretations of of just like what you were trying to say. I guess that's intentions as well, but it goes so big in romantic connections because I'm sure you've experienced if someone misinterprets your character or your intentions behind something, it can create a lot of tension and a lot of internal resentment from someone if they think something was intended a certain way that was just, you know, completely miscued. And I just don't feel like that's going to happen with this person. I also want to say what comes from this person and why I feel like you got the whale instead of a dolphin card is it feels like they're very serious. Like you, like they come, like this is someone who I feel like has life experience. I think they are going to be a bit older. I think a bit older than you, or just a bit older in life in general, because it comes through with like they're serious, they're focused, they know what they want, and instead of it coming from feeling like maybe like it's a bit like authoritative or aggressive, when you get to know them, you actually realize like it's quite like a respectful, like they're just not afraid to put themselves out there kind of vibe. Like they're like, hey, this is how I'm feeling and I'm just wondering where you're at. And I feel like in business, they're probably more aggressive, but I think in relationships, this person actually just feels quite emotionally intelligent. I want to say that. So if there's something there coming up where you're like worried about that, in relationships, there is a lot of emotional intelligence from this person. And I just keep getting like they sing the same song as you, which sometimes to me just means like they love the same way as you do. They love the way you do love others. And that's also something that just feels like it's going to be super compatible for you in this dynamic. So I feel like this pile is still feeling hesitant if this is really going to be the love of their life. So let's start looking at what they teach you about love, and ultimately you can always choose. Obviously, if I feel like we always have like multiple possible soulmates depending on where we kind of choose to go in life. But so if this one's not getting you excited by the end of the reading, then you don't have to accept it. You can always ask for something different. But these are the ones we got for now. So this is what I'm going to say. So detective, when I was shuffling cards, this one flew out as fast as the octopus did. So it kind of made me think that at first what they teach you is great powers of observation and intuition. So I think they teach you how to really assess people so that you know before you even get into that interaction what kind of boundaries you need to set. I know it sounds funny, but it seems like a really big thing for you over here. Like wanting to be kind, gentle, compassionate, and understanding and open-minded. I feel like you really value being open-minded and curious about things. And this little octopus person teaches you that there are some things you can observe in the way people are speaking, in the way that they are talking to others, that might give you an idea about if they also have that same level of curiosity, if they also have an open-mindedness. And it's not that you can't interact with them, but I feel like it just helps you start to recognize some patterns to get yourself kind of like, okay, is this person coming from having actually known something, or are they perhaps over exaggerating or over emphasizing some points that there isn't actually a lot of fact or research behind? Like, it's just like, I feel like it's not shutting people down. I want to be very clear here because I feel like that's something you really don't want, but it's just, it's like starting to recognize signs early hand to kind of understand how much time or how much boundary to set with someone. I don't know. It feels really important for you though. It feels like, wow, this is way less draining for you in your interactions, social interactions, which feels really, really good in helping you stay grounded and energized in your body. This card over here, so the rest kind of came out with the whale card, and it says, damsel, so understanding the nature of healthy romance inspires you to rely on yourself. And then we also have fearlessly revealing emotions, helping people laugh at absurdity and hypocrisy. So what I really get from these two is like this, once again, kind of like last pile I was just talking about, this is like a love that you've never really experienced before. Like, it's like you don't even really know the limiting beliefs you might have around love until you get into this dynamic and you anticipate this person to expect a certain thing from you or treat you a certain way, and then it doesn't happen. And it's a little bit mind-blowing at the time, but ultimately it is more, as this saying, like loving. feels more safe and secure. That comes through a lot here. Especially with the Fool, it's like feeling like there's space for you to be able to emotionally express yourself and emotionally have room for yourself. So I even get perhaps this pile might have been someone who had been guilted, shamed for crying in past relationships, or perhaps you just never felt comfortable or safe to like express emotions like that, of vulnerability, of crying, being upset, being hurt by something. And I feel like this whale person, like they're in for emotional depth. They they are a solid person. I mean, whales, they live in the water. Water is all about emotion. They are grounded in it. So what I love about this is like I think this person really makes you realize perhaps how much you've like held back emotionally in other relationships because the other person couldn't handle your emotions. So I feel like it's like this like sort of like deeper intimacy and connection than you've ever had in a relationship, because there's no need to hide or wear masks or put a face on, because this person will meet you where you're at. And this card, Damsel here, this one I always get for people like being empowered by their partner, someone who is truly just like valued, appreciated, empowered, accepted for themselves, accepted for just how they are. Like they don't need someone to change. They don't need someone to get better at a certain thing or belittle themselves to fit into their life. Like this card is just really like you're just accepted exactly as you are, and there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing needs to be changed. I just really like that. If it's like empowerment, feeling empowered to be yourself and to have your own interests and to spend time also pursuing the things that make you feel good. Like this is like very pro self-care. Self-care, when that's more time with friends, more time doing a certain thing, it's just all welcomed. I do want to be clear, this person definitely wants to spend time with you, but they're just so on board with whatever you need to feel emotionally regulated, feel like yourself, empowered in yourself, and good in your body. And this is where that maturity energy really comes through. Like I'm saying, like this person, wild amount of emotional intelligence. I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed by your person's way of being in the world. And then over here, if you saw this bully card, it came up upside down and I left it this way because this person and the way that they love you, what it teaches you is realizing how past people, past relationships most likely projected a lot of their own insecurities on you. So through the way that they love you and support you and empower you and welcome your emotions and welcome all of you, it starts to bring clarity about how other relationships didn't do that, or how perhaps if there was like name calling or just manipulation or a lack of accountability from past partners, it becomes very clear to you, whether it's because this person's always talking about it, about other people not taking accountability and projecting their insecurities on someone else, or you just start to realize that on your own. I feel like it could be a combination of them both, but it talks about conceals deep fears behind verbal or physical abuse, and I feel like this is from past partners, so it really brings to your awareness other people's fears and shame and guilt when it came through in arguments or in like maybe fights, or just like, I don't even know if I want to say that, because sometimes I feel like arguments have to be both ways. If you had a past partner that had a tendency just to get really escalated towards you, I feel like it really brings to light that it was all them. It had nothing to do with you. It was just their own internal issues that they were bottling up, never dealing with, and then just essentially exploding and unloading on you. So that really comes to clarity that that was not okay and to what extent it was happening. So that's what I feel like this person is teaching you. And then I really want to talk about how they love you. So we have recognition. So this one really stood out to me when it came out. You and your accomplishments are received, appreciated, and honored, because I think in the past relationships you've had, you haven't been appreciated for who you are, for exactly as you are, for wanting to be joyful, happy, light, more playful, feel more free in yourself. Like this person just loves all that about you. And I even feel like this person is someone who is very big on verbal communication for like mentioning like, I really appreciated that you did this for me, or I really appreciate this about you, or thank you so much for that. Like they are just like on top of that game. And I love it. I love it so much. They love you through, sorry, my voice got a little dry there. They love you through just letting you know how much they appreciate you, seeing you, and verbalizing how much they're seeing you in the moment, which I would imagine just, yeah, if I feel like your past partners haven't seen you at all, haven't seen your intentions for what they are, this is going to be so lovely of a shift, and maybe even a bit of a healing shift for you to experience in love. And then next we have perfectionism. So I love this because it talks about like, let me just say this. It's like polishing your creative project is fine, but don't allow perfectionistic fear to result in procrastination. So this card talks about they don't have unrealistic expectations of you. They don't expect you to have to be a certain way or to always look a certain way, have a certain attitude. Like this person recognizes you're human, and once again, it comes back to like they're just so okay with your emotions and how you're feeling. And sorry, there's just a lot of cats who just want to stomp all over these cards for some reason, and I'm not sure why. Yeah. Okay. And I just feel like, you know what? This is another thing I'm going to say. I wonder if there's a little bit of a message here too about like the privacy of your relationship stays within the two of you. You can share what you want with other people and they could share what they want with others, but I feel like you both mutually respect each other enough to keep a lot of confidence in what's shared just within the relationship. And I feel like a lot of other people get intrigued about it. They're like always maybe asking questions about your relationship or trying to get like drama or dirt, but I just don't think that there is any here. And so you might have a lot of people who are just trying to like stir things up, but I don't think they have any success because this is pretty solid. And like I said, with someone like this whale who's so good at communicating, articulating, explaining themselves, I just don't feel like there can be a lot of room for misinterpretations, not within this relationship at least. So other thing too is helping inner children. So I love that this card came through because this talks about this person is able to meet the most vulnerable parts of yourself. So they aren't afraid when you have like a bit of fear coming up or a part of you that feels like uncertain or unsafe. Instead of pushing it away, they welcome that part in, and I feel like they just are so on board with comforting you with sorry, we might need to move some cats. See how long this lasts with the no cats as they're all staring at me from the floor. Yes. Anyways, I actually want to just move on to 3 things they want you to know right now. So we have communication, perfect timing, and passion, entrepreneur, driven. So what I see here is I'm pretty sure you probably haven't met this person yet at the time that you're watching this reading. And there is a lot of here talking about one, the communication, accuracy, expression, intimacy, and honesty. I feel like they are kind of talking about how with time, when you find the right people, you're going to start to see that it's not always how you're communicating. Sometimes it is a little bit about finding your people. Because I feel like you could be a little bit hard on yourself with how you're articulating things or saying things. But I also feel like there is a little bit about learning how to speak boundaries, perhaps more in your words, which is kind of a funny way to say that. But I do feel like they're saying like you're like, one, there's a comforting message of you're going to figure it out eventually, but it doesn't hurt to kind of perhaps start looking into listening to podcasts, perhaps watching YouTube videos on how to set boundaries. Just even in ways of speech, ways of talking. I feel like it's very casual. They're talking about there is casual ways to kind of just implement boundaries for people who aren't boundary breakers, to just kind of have them more out there. And then perfect timing. I feel like these 2 cards are coming through, especially with driven passion, that you're going to meet them exactly when you're supposed to. And of course, anytime we try to control or guess or get exact timings about when we're going to meet our person, we never really get the answer because we're not meant to know. We're meant to kind of just get back into our own journey, get back to who we are wanting to become, and then it gets us aligned with the person we're going to be. when we meet them. So this one is coming through. Your person is very much like, it's all going to work out when it's supposed to. It's going to probably take a little more patience from you than you'd like. But in the meantime, it's so important for you to focus on yourself, to focus on specifically feeling good in your body, feeling proud of who you are, confident in who you are. And it's not because of them. It's like, this is just kind of the era you're in right now. This is the honor of the lessons that you need from your past relationship, I get, in stepping into the next one, is building your self-esteem up, building yourself up. So they're just saying, like, if it seems like it's being a really long time, just keep going harder into how can I create and foster more confidence in myself and more love for myself. And that will keep you busy enough, is what they're saying. That will keep you busy enough for when they come in. And that's even like funny because that's the energy you're in when you meet them. Like, it's definitely that. Like, you're just almost like not even thinking about love. You're just like, I really need to like start figuring out how I can feel more confident and love myself more. So it's almost like their guidance is like getting you into the energy that aligns you to meet them. So that's kind of cute and kind of cool. Okay, I am gonna clear these cards out. And then we're going to do the same reading but reversed. So everything's going to be from your person's perspective of you. Yeah, just for kind of a little more fun twist on it. So I'm going to be, I guess, a snap of a second for you and a few minutes for me. Okay, so welcome back, Pile Twos. We are looking at their energy before they meet you, which is Camel. When they meet you, which is Tiger, which kind of aligns a little bit with that like intensity that you might feel from them in life when you first meet. And then how they perceive you is we have the playful, I kind of see this as a happy-go-lucky dolphin, which is really interesting. I also have to say too, I just get this as like, they see you as someone who's super gentle, pleasant, like fairly content in life. And once again, this might not be how you feel, but this is how they perceive you. Like a little bit of a social butterfly who's a little timid, but just overall very warm and welcoming. And it's kind of like, I always see this as like a little bit unique in the way of like, you're not someone they come across every day in the best of ways. Like your gentleness, your kindness is just not something that you find, and level of sincerity is not something that they find everywhere. And I just really like you, and like this dolphin is like in a circle. Like I feel like they kind of see you, and it's almost like their eye gets like a little focused on you. Like they only see you, which kind of also makes sense with how you're perceiving them, being very focused on things. So Camel, right before they see you, this talks about someone who is essentially trying their best to just make it through things as independently and as, how would I say? I would say that. It feels like someone who's lacking a little bit of luster in life. It feels like someone who has gone through a hard time. So you know what, honestly, this does make me think about people who might have gone through a separation or divorce and they're just trying to get through it. They're not emotionally invested in the relationship anymore, but they just are like, they're in the middle of the desert. It doesn't have a lot of really awesome things in their immediate future, with like having to pay, what is that, alimony? Whatever that word is called, having to like pay the separation, having to pay things out, figure things out. It just feels like they are like, I am in a state of having to make it through a hard time, but I know things will get better. And then when you meet them, this is like when they start to like have space to set their sights on things that they're wanting. So that is really interesting, which also explains that octopus energy. I would imagine after being in this like desert of like, I have to conserve my resources, I have to conserve my energy, I just need to get through it, I need to get to the destination. They get there and then they just have this like desire to like make up for that time lost in the desert. They want to try everything. They just want to find their passion and their joy. And they are coming from that place a little bit of like having like their, let's just say, like, it makes me think of someone who's had to suppress their urges for a while. Like, it's not that they're bad, but it can sometimes come out with a little more force and a little more aggression than we intend. And that is the energy you see them coming in at when they meet you, which once again does make me laugh because I'm like, I can see why they seem a bit aggressive to you when you meet, because they're essentially like a little pimped up. They were like, were watching their finances. I feel like watching like their energy levels, their emotional levels. They weren't trying to socialize too much because they were just trying to conserve their time and energy to get through, like, I would say like a separation or something like that. Whatever it was, it could have been like a new work project or like getting funding for a new business venture. Like, it was something where they had to be very, very tight and conservative. So when you meet them, they're like out of the box. They're so ready to be set free that it would feel a little intense. So I don't think that's their true identity. It's just how they are when they meet you. I mean, because they were quite capable of being calm, collected, and enduring, and being peaceful and resilient. So I imagine they're somewhere in between the balanced state normally. Sorry, I'm kind of laughing because I'm like, wow, oh, I can so see how your impressions of them are that way. Anyways, so then let's get over here and see. Yeah, you were kind of already explaining how they were seeing you as like, you are just essentially the thing that they get their eyes set on, because you're like living your life in a way that they really admire and want to get back to. And you're just like seem like someone that they would want in their life. So they're just like already all for you. They're team you, which I really, really like. There's no doubt there about having an eye for you. Okay. I also do feel like, I'm going to say this, I guess, but I do feel like there is some like sexual tension from this person, and I do feel like it gets a little also directed towards you, which I mean, I don't feel like they're being inappropriate. I just feel like they have a lot of those urges and sensations that come up around you, so they're just very attracted to you. That is gonna be the other thing I'm gonna say about that. Okay, and then what you teach them about love. What you might notice here, we have rescuer, saboteur, martyr, and servant. You teach them a lot about balance in relationships. So I would assume that this person might have been someone who had fallen into caretaking patterns in relationships, problem solver, fixer kind of dynamics. And what you teach them is like to be a supportive person, or be supportive, like, I feel like this person likes to be like a provider in relationships. I think they like to provide for others in a multitude of ways. I think probably emotionally and perhaps physically to some degree, but I do really feel like that's like how they've identified with giving love. And you really teach them that it doesn't have to be that way. It can be more reciprocal, and that you like, I love that you had the damsel card, because I feel like they realize like you aren't a damsel in distress. Like, you've got yourself, you're capable of emotionally regulating yourself, of figuring out your stuff. I mean, they're there to support you, but they don't have to do it for you, which is really interesting. That's something they weren't aware of. So this definitely goes to start to show their their emotional wounding in relationship. That's the word I'm looking for. So here it says, provides strength and support to others in crisis, acts out of love with no expectation of reward. So yeah, I really feel like you teach them that all they have to do is support and be present, and there's nothing else that they need to do. And I just really have to say that's like mind-blowing to them. I feel like they might be kind of put in a position of having to fix a lot of things in other people's lives, whether that's something they step into or other people just kind of allow or ask them for, is something I think they struggled with. And then this one says, highlights your fear of self-employment and the changes it would bring to your life. So I kind of get, these two cards came out together. I kind of feel like they've had this fear, this limiting belief that if they didn't fix all these problems or do all these things, that they would not earn or deserve the relationship. So I really do like that this comes out together, and that this can very much, once again, give you some clarity perhaps on some of the wounds they're coming from, because a lot of this is like what they're learning doesn't have to be the case. So with you, they don't feel like they need to earn, they don't need to prove, they don't need to constantly kind of be up on a expectation or pedestal of what they have to do to be worthy of the love from you. So if you can imagine how that would feel to a person, it would feel like it's the first time someone's actually loving them and not what they can provide or offer. So that, I feel like, is going to be groundbreaking for them. And then martyr and servant. So this is interesting. Whenever I see the martyr card, so it says learning the transcendent nature of service to oneself and a cause. I feel like this can show that sometimes they would put themselves in position of Probably not setting enough boundaries with past relationships and saying like, hey, I'm needing this, or asking for their needs to be met. I think they might have sort of just started to go along with the we'll say like the earning love, the fixing problems, people leaning on them, to the point where I feel like other people in relationships have gotten a little bit lazy with them. I know that's not quite the right word, but it's like people stop putting in the effort, almost because they would have a tendency to not voice their needs, to not ask for anything. So it's almost like they wouldn't, I don't know. It's like other people didn't give them love, but it was almost because they stopped asking or like voicing that they were needing it. So it's not all their fault. I want to be clear there, but it's almost like you can see how it was a bit, I feel like, perpetuating cycle, and I think this like goes throughout their life. I think you're probably going to like notice some friendships that are a little bit like this with them. Maybe other dynamics there. I can just see that being a thing. And delight in serving others in a free and loving heart. So I also feel like what ultimately comes through this is like they start to realize like how much more energy they have to be like of service, be loving, to be able to like offer things and do things when it feels reciprocal, and when it feels like it doesn't, like if they don't do it in a way you like, that it will take away from how you love them or if you love them. So it's almost like there's like such a freedom they're realizing when they just do things because they want to and not because they feel they have to earn love. Is that making sense? Like, the intention behind it and the pressure behind why they have to do it has completely shifts to the point where they're like, I'm literally doing this and it's not draining. Wow. Like this, like, it's just like, they are someone I think who does do a lot of acts of service. I think that's just like also part of who they are as a person, but yeah, not feeling the pressure to do it, game changer for them. Okay. And then if we're looking over here at how they feel loved by you, like when you're in relationship with them, the journaling card is really interesting because I feel like this one is talking a lot about you putting a lot of thought into perhaps things that were talked about, but I also get like you letting them in on things you've experienced through the day. Yeah, and I don't know, it's so interesting. It's like you let them into like your deeper, more thoughtful thoughts. Like if you're like, yeah, I had this thing happen today and it got me thinking and reflecting about this thing, and so on and so forth. Like it just feels like vulnerability is what I'm getting from the journaling card. Like they feel like you really let them in to your inside world, which is just something they really love. They love being a part of that. I mean, like I said, if they're actually a bit of a whale card and they're someone who likes depth, and you let them into your depth, so they really do enjoy that. Share your art with the world. This talks about like they just love the way you see life. You love the way that you bring that energy and that, I feel like, positivity and playfulness to the relationship. I think they can get a little too serious sometimes, and they love that you bring in this new creative look or this new lightness into the relationship, which it might be like a funny thing to be like, this is what they love about the way you love them. It's like they really, I think it brings them a lot of peace and new perspective. I think you bring a lot of new perspective to them. And then deservingness, you always make them feel like they're deserving of you, of the relationship, of love. And that was what really ties in with this person's big wounding of feeling like they need to earn love to be worthy of it. You make them feel like they just already are. So this is like the biggest healing for this person by far, by far. So that's beautiful. You're definitely the person they've been seeking without perhaps knowing what you looked like. And you really ground them. That comes through a lot too. You really ground them and make them feel secure in themselves and safe in the relationship. And yeah, I wonder if they've struggled with anxiety before. This person might have had a bit of an anxious attachment style, and I think you really bring in more calm for them. So that's really beautiful. Okay, I am going to leave this here. I think I've said all I need to, or all I can really think to say for this. But remember, you can always claim or choose to pass on any romantic connection. It's always up to you. But this one, from an outsider's perspective, seems quite sweet. So I'm hoping that you felt the same way about it. Anyways, I hope you have a good one, and maybe I'll catch you around in another pick a card reading. Okay, pile threes, welcome to your reading here. I have all your cards laid out. You have a few more than anybody else. And I have to say, I feel like you are someone who has been asking for like a spiritual match, like someone who is into, I would say, like similar things to you, whether that looks like manifestation rituals or cleaning the house or using crystals to amplify things in your life, or perhaps really into astrology. Like, oh, you're looking for your match in that. So I guess I should just say I feel like your wish comes true. That's the moral of the whole story here. So your energy before you meet this person, this snake card, I get that you're on your own journey, you're on your own process. I could see this pile like going on like retreats. Like I'm thinking people who like to go to like Costa Rica and do a meditational retreat. Perhaps you do medicine journeys there. I'm not totally sure, but you have your thing. You're out there, you're doing it. You're really following, I feel like, a meditational, spiritual self-development path. And I also feel like there's a big energy around Kundalini stuff. So I'm just going to mention it there for those who that resonates with. Like, if the retreat has something to do with Kundalini energy, or if you've just been wanting to have more of that energy in a romantic partner, or you're able to talk about that or have that type of like connection with them. But I keep getting it. So the other thing too, so the shift between before you meet them and when you meet them is you are more alive in that, I want to say, like in feeling confident in your sexual expression, in your desire to feel pleasure. Like it's pretty specific, but I feel like this is a very specific pile. Like you are in a place where you feel strong and you know what you want, and you're not scared to desire certain things, to want certain things for yourself. And you're really like, you feel like you're coming from a very certain powerhouse place of being like, one, very mature. Like the energy feels very mature. Like it's like, I'm not a child anymore. I'm not playing with boys. I'm not playing with girls. I'm playing with adults, grown men, grown women. I want my equivalent. I want someone who can match me. I want someone who can like fulfill me. It's kind of funny. Sorry. I feel like there's a lot of sexual tension here. Like you want your person who can match that. That's a really big focus for this pile. So I imagine there's something that's happened in the past that made you feel like you couldn't have that, or that just wasn't the forefront of a relationship, and you're like ready for it. And so I actually want to jump over here to how you perceive their energy when you meet them. Like I feel like this is someone who, despite the fact that they move very quickly in life and they, like, I feel like they grow through things, they phase through things quickly, they are extremely grounded and centered. So it's not like they are doing things impulsively. It's thought out, it's concise, it is something they don't go back and doubt or regret. They just are very good at moving quickly. They really know who they are and what they want. So they're very decisive. They're very decisive. And that stands out. And I feel like I can't help but notice all the chakra colors here, and just feeling like they probably also are really into that meditational world. I would wonder if you will meet this person at some sort of new agey event. So I'm just saying that because I am trying to use the umbrella term of like, it could be a meditation retreat, it could be at a gathering, it could be at a friend's house who's into all this stuff, and it's one of their mutual friends. But like this is like you're part of a group of people who all have similar belief systems, and you meet somehow through that group system. Yeah, really interesting. So when I look at what you learn about love through this connection, is you do get your wish fulfillment. So you get that like romance, that intimacy, that slow steady, like, I feel like romance, where it's like there's sincere romance. It's not just lust, there's romance there. And then when I see the prostitute card, what I love about this is like not being ashamed of any desires or anything you want to experience, feeling like you're able to put yourself out there vulnerably. And I just feel like all of you is accepted, and all these experiences you're wanting are accepted. And once again, I feel like this was really something you were wanting. So a lot of what you learn about love is like literally like wish fulfillment about what you were wanting, is, at least from my perspective of the card you're looking at it, that's what I'm seeing is wish fulfillment. So healer, I feel like you've had relationships with other people in the spiritual world who have not been in the same place or headspace as you. I feel like when I see the healer card, I am wondering if there is like some past of like manipulation or power dynamics or ego involved. And I just feel like this does not have that. It's like someone who truly comes from a place of equality. They really are actually practicing as they preach, you know, like they're not saying one thing but doing another. They really feel like someone who is coming from a sincere, heartfelt place. Yeah, I don't know. That one feels specific. It feels like it's an interesting card. I'll read it here. It says, passions to serve others by repairing the body, mind, and spirit. Ability to help transform pain into healing. So I know this is supposed to be what you learn about love, but I feel like either the two of you or both are practitioners of some type, or you both work with people in a certain way. And I don't know why I once again get that as a wish fulfillment. Like, this is something you had on your list about what you're wanting. And you know what? Sometimes card readings go their own direction. I feel like your energy and your intention is so set, it's so firm, it's so strong that I mean, it kind of makes sense to me that the cards are just telling me what you've asked for, to the extent of like your will and what you're wanting and wishing for is so strong. Like, it's like, feels like it's in stone out there. So it's, yeah, you were like certain when you put out there that you were wanting this. I feel so much certainty. So I do feel like there's that mutual connection of healer, lifestyle, mission in life. And then servant, delights in serving others with a free and loving heart. So I actually do feel like this is kind of how they are going to be. Like, I feel like they are just someone who's like very content in offering help and being kind and helpful and loving and supportive. I feel like they just sincerely enjoy those aspects. And I once again feel like this is once like confirming like a wish fulfillment of what you're wanting in a relationship. Someone who would be considerate and say if you're sick would offer to bring you soup, is like literally what I'm thinking here. Or someone who, when they go grab a coffee, they just get you one because they know you're going to want one. Like, once again, you've been putting some like big wish fulfillments out there. So all this is just really coming through as like, this is what's going to come in. That being said, I don't think you've met this person yet. So maybe this is even encouragement that you don't need to settle. You are going to find what you're wanting out there. It is going to come through for you. Because over here we have how they love you is what I intended this to be. So that's interesting, because if you read these cards, it kind of feels like more encouragement and validation that you're going to get what you want in love. You're going to get the kind of person you're looking for. You don't need to settle, because we have prosperity, success, and listen only to love. All these cards are talking about like not giving up and settling for less than what you want. Like, knowing that your person is going to come in quick out of nowhere, and they are going to be a grounded person. They are going to be able to have all these things that you're wanting, and you don't have to be able to see someone coming for them to like make it into your life, you know? So success, congratulations, you did it. I feel like this is talking about you manifesting, you putting it out there what you want, listen only to love. So once again, I feel like this is like saying, remember what your standards are, remember what you're wanting to experience in love, and don't settle because someone's telling you that that's a dream, like that can never happen. I gotta say, in my own personal life, like a lot of people told me I would never find someone who was into the same things that I was into. Like, they were just too random, and I had to like settle for someone who was into one thing, or like would only be into supporting me in some of it. And I actually kind of did settle. My personal expectations for things, and then I met the person and I was like, whoa, they actually like love all the things that I love, and they love them even more than I do. So I always think about that. Like, don't listen to everyone else's, like, they settled. Not, I shouldn't say that. Not everyone settles, but some people who push you the hardest to settle are people who settled themselves. And you don't have to. You don't have to, because I feel like your person is going to be everything you want. So don't listen to other people's fears. Remember what you're wanting to experience, and you will be successful. It's like your actions have resulted in incoming abundance. So this even says like it's incoming. It's incoming, the things that you're wanting. Do not feel like you need to settle, or give more time to people that you already know just aren't feeling like your person. They aren't driving the spark of, they're not meeting the kind of love you want to experience. So these 3 cards here is guidance from your person for when you're seeing this. These actually all came in reverse, Charlie. I know, but we don't need to sit on the cards every pile. We just don't need to do that. Oh boy, now another cat's coming in. Okay, so this one says time to go. And so I'm going to read it as they all came out as reverse. It talks about stagnation, questioning, being at a dead end. So part of me feels like if there's a connection you're in, or like, I would say this is perhaps someone you're just like casually dating, and you're like, after the date, you're like, this is just not the kind of person I'm really feeling that excited about, but maybe it's just the best option I have. If you're already having those feelings, you're already feeling like it's not really going where you want to go, if you feel like this is coming through to say, hey, like, it's not going to change. The person is how they are. And if you're settling for them, then it is a little bit sad, because your energy is like, I'm not that excited about that person, but they're the best I can get, so I guess I'll just accept it. If the sensation isn't reciprocal, it just doesn't feel that great for the other person involved. And it just kind of asks you, if you are in that situation, to just even reflect on that. Like, if how would you feel if you like had someone who was just settling and was just okay with you? It wouldn't bring in this like great romance and connection and just incredible chemistry. It would just be a lot more okay. Just okay. Perhaps even a bit boring if you weren't feeling any of those things. So it's not I gotta be clear here, it's not making you bad. It's just saying, if you are feeling that way, then just knowing that you don't need to settle, and that there is that connection you're looking for out there. Blessings in disguise. So this does also talk about, this is where I feel like there is just like a hard decision that you could be in right now in communication, because all these cards honestly do talk about walking away from a situation. It could even just be wanting to like make a big change in life. It could be like moving from a place into another, leaving a certain field. But I do wonder if this is talking about a love connection. It says angst, expectation, unaware, significance, gossip, withholding, solitude, risk. So a lot of this talks about, they're just like not being on the same page as somebody else, and feeling a little bit stuck, and like, just like it says, like stagnant, questioning, wondering, not feeling like it quite feels right. And it just talk about just taking some time to really get clear about maybe what is missing from this experience or person, and not making them wrong or anything like that, but just getting really clear, like, is this actually the kind of love I wanted to experience? Is this actually the kind of job or thing I was wanting to experience? Did it meet my expectations? Did it meet my expectations about how I wanted to be loved or how I wanted to experience it? And I do feel like this talks about getting really honest with self, and even like ignoring what other people are saying comes through strongly. Like, if other people are trying to say, oh, your standards are so high, and you're like, if I like have given this person a few chances and I'm still not feeling it, I just don't feel like they're my person, I would trust that. But anyways, this is just 2 cents from a card reader who doesn't know your situation, because it's a collective reading. So anyways, I'm going to clear up these cards, and then we're going to look at the reverse for them. Okay, so we have the reverse here. So the energy of your person before they meet you is the zebra. And this one's really interesting. I feel like you're going to find yourself with someone who has been recently, I want to say heartbroken. Heartbroken, I think is going to be the right word. Yeah, so the Zebra is someone who's very empathetic, sometimes can feel a little too much for others. I don't know why, but I mean, I am getting the impression that this person might have been dating someone who struggled with a lot of maybe past challenges, like not them but their previous partner. Like I really feel like they carry a lot of pain from their past partner and how they were living their life, and perhaps they were just like very negative or very wounded by, say, like abusive people in their life or something like that. But I feel like they're leaving this relationship heartbroken, and I almost wonder if they got dumped, if they get dumped from their last person. They have a lot of feels for it. They felt very empathetic towards that other person. They had a lot of concern and worry for them. They might have spent a lot of time worrying about them. That when you meet them, we kind of have the bear card here, which is the bear that feels a little under the weather compared to how they normally feel. They are coming out of their cave or coming out of their den, but sometimes it can be with a little bit of hesitancy or resistance. Like, I imagine when you meet this person, you know what, if I actually think about this more, they might have been out of a relationship for a little while, but they're just kind of feeling like, all right, I have to put myself back out there, but I'm not really feeling that excited about it. I don't want to get hurt like that again. This person was like very invested in the last person, so they feel a little gloomy and they're feeling a little down under the weather compared to how they normally feel. Yeah, they got some sadness still about the last relationship and just the emotional toll and how it ended. I keep getting stuck on that. How it ended really upset them or really hurt them is probably a better word. Really hurt them. So that's very interesting. And then the sea serpent is how they perceive you. So the first thing that came to mind when I saw this card from their eyes is intimidating. You seem very intimidating. And I want to be clear here, like that intimidation feels like it comes from you being someone who's very confident, strong in yourself. I even feel like some people might define you as like strong-willed, not in a bad way, but just like it adds a level of like confidence in yourself, assuredness in yourself that can be intimidating to others. So they see you, yeah, as like quite the person, like just very intimidating. I do feel like you're like kind of someone they've never met before. And once again, I do feel like there is just like a lot of energy that comes off of you. We'll put it that way. I think you're someone, when they meet you, they do see you as someone who is very like open about their desires and their physical desires. And I'm trying to be careful with what I can say on YouTube. You just, yeah, once again, I get the words intimidating. Like, you're just really not ashamed or afraid of any of the things of what you are. And it's a beautiful thing. But this person coming from like not feeling great about themselves, still being a little like deflated from how the pain of the last relationship, I can see why it would be very intimidating to behold someone who was so complete. That's the word I'm going to use. So complete in themselves. So be interesting to see how this story unfolds, your relationship dynamic unfolds. So what you teach them about love, we have one here that I noticed right away, the femme fatale, like highlights the erotic energy of the feminine, opens your heart when your dependency is rejected. So this one even talks about, like, you teach them a lot about how, I want to say, like, this pile does feel like so much feminine energy. I mean, the last pile, 2 cards came through about really strong feminine sexual energy, and Kundalini, which is also usually more associated with feminine sexual energy. Not that men can't have it, but it's just like usually more correlated with the feminine energy side of it. And I'm definitely getting that. They sense that. They've never experienced that. And I feel like it's like your strength and pride and confidence in it. Like, there's no shame here. And I feel like with their past relationship, I do feel like that other person struggled with a lot of shame. Perhaps even they had struggled with like sexual abuse perhaps in their past or something of the sort, not them, but their previous partner. And you're just kind of the opposite, which is like wild to them. I don't think they actually knew that. Like, I would feel like this is someone who's like, I didn't know that like women could like sex, like things like that, I think would be beliefs that they were holding. Yeah, so that comes through strongly. And then freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses. So what you teach them about love. I like this. I feel like you're very good at like helping them through their own shadow work and their own kind of like self-sabotaging behaviors or patterns. And it's not that you're fixing them. I want to be very clear here, is that like you make it clear to them that they can have power over some of those struggles. Like, I think there's literally some things that just accepted to be a truth about themselves, but the way you are in the world, the way you accept all of yourself, I feel like they start to realize that they're more empowered than they realized to change some things. And I also feel like there's just things you meet in their like set of needs or desires that helps them get rid of like self-sabotaging behaviors. So that's really interesting. And then over here, child wounded. So awakens compassion and desires to serve others. Serve other wounded children, opens the learning path of forgiveness. So yeah, so literally what they learn through love, I feel like there's a lot about like they do heal from this past relationship a lot while they're with you. And I don't know if that's something maybe you're really hoping to hear, but it does come through quite a bit. Like, I feel like there is this unresolved wounding from this past relationship that I can't quite put my finger on. And I do feel like that gets healed while they are with you. Whether that's just because they start to let go or see how the relationship wasn't healthy for them or something of that sort. They do come back and feel more grounded in themselves. They feel more like the person they were. Yeah, and I think some of this is like through and be feeling alive again with you. Like, they feel more alive, they feel more joy, they feel more like just life. And that makes sense because the bear is kind of low on energy, low on feeling excited about the day-to-day or even like where their life is going. So that does change dramatically in the relationship with you. And then Prince, romantic charm and potential for power. So I have to say, I think there's going to be some interesting desires in this relationship that are going to be well matched. I can't quite put it, but I think there will be some very interesting dynamics. And I feel like this person like loves that because once again, I feel like it's something they were missing from their other relationship that they didn't even know. And I also feel like there's like this like feeling desired and seen. I almost feel like I'm getting like as like the strong person they are. That wasn't like really seen that way in their past relationship as well, or even they didn't really feel in themselves too. So then when we look at how you love them, we have law of attraction, which I'm just going to point out again, which is really funny and still on point with like everything else that's come through, is there's just lots on attraction in this connection. So I mean, once again, it's mutual, it's going both ways, and in both sides it's come through quite a bit. Helping children. This one often makes me feel like you're really gonna help them like heal some wounds. I feel like heal some core wounds that they had around beliefs around themselves, around, I think it's even like outside of love relationships. I think this started before that, but once again, I should say this isn't that you are healing them. There's nothing you have to do. It's like something that happens through this, because your way of being able to navigate and understand their wounding and like not take it personally is something that really helps them essentially heal from it, if that makes sense. And then vulnerability, there's just like a lot of space for you to have that connection, be vulnerable, to share each other's feeling. And I feel like it's reciprocal, like you giving them clarity about what's on your mind and on your heart, and them also being able to do the same. And the only thing that stands out to me is one person is like sharing how they're experiencing what they're feeling, and this person here is just staying grounded, being compassionate, but still staying centered in themselves. So I really like that. It's really beautiful. Okay, this is where I'm going to leave this reading. This last pile was interesting. One little rogue on me. I hope it brought you some insights or clarity or whatever you came for when you were looking here. And maybe I'll catch you around another pick a card reading sometime.